Appendix F of the Part 236 of the minimum requirement for the FRA directed an independent third-party assessment of the positive train control safety system verification validation. Appendix provides the minimum requirement for the mandatory independent third-party assessment of the positive train control safety system verification validation pursuant to this Part H and I of the part of the goals assessment with the provide for the independent evaluation of the positive train control system manufacture the utilization of safety design practices during the positive train control system development and testing of the phases of the required with the applicable positive safety plan, positive project safety plan with the project control deployment plan and project control, positive train control safety plan with the applicable requirement in subpart H and I with the part with any other previously agreed upon controlling documentation standards. The supplier may request an advice for the system with an independent third party with the review of the concern of the actions identified with the paragraphs the G through G of the appendix. However, the reviewer should not engage design efforts in order to preserve the reviewer's independence to maintain the supplier with the proprietary right for the positive train control system. The supplier shall provide with the reviewer to access any and all documentation the reviewer requires for the tendency any of the design review with a walkthrough through the reviewer determines it is necessary to complete with the accomplished third-party assessment. The reviewer may be accompanied by the representative of the FRA that is necessary in the FRA's judgment. The FRA monitoring through the assessment. The reviewer shall evaluate the respect of the safety commitment of the adequacy with the process for the supplier with the app supplier with the design and development of the positive train control system. Minimum, the reviewer shall evaluate the supplier design with the development process regarding use of the appropriate design methodology. The reviewer may use the comparison process to test procedures that have been previously agreed with the FRA. Based on the analysis of the reviewer shall identify the documentation in significantly safety vulnerabilities which are not adequately mitigated with the supplier or user of the process. Finally, the reviewer shall evaluate the adequacy of the railroad applicable to the project safety plan, the project positive train control safety plan, and any other documents pertaining to the positive train control system being assessed. The reviewer shall analyze the hazard log any other hazardous analysis of the documentation competent with the compliance with the railroad vendor with the supplier with the industrial nation international standards. The reviewer shall analyze the all fault trees, X analysis, fault and failure mode, and efficiency critical analysis, and other hazard analysis compliance, completeness and correctness and compliance with the railroad vendor and supplier and industry national and international standards. The reviewer shall randomly select the various safety-critical safety modules as well as the safety-critical hardware components if the required for the FRA for the audit to verify whether the railroad vendor supplied with the industry, national, and international standards were followed. The number of the modules audited must be determined with the representative of the number that is sufficient to provide confidence that all the unaudited modules were developed in compliance with the railroad vendor with the supplier with the industrial, national, international standards. The reviewer shall evaluate the component comment with the plan of the installation test of the procedure for the positive train control system for the revenue service. The reviewer shall prepare the final report of the assessment. The report shall be submitted with the railroad prior to the commencement of the installation testing of the contained with the least following the information. The reviewers and evaluation of the adequacy of the project safety plan of the project positive train control safety plan, including the supplement of the myth and risk estimates of the positive train control system and the supplier's confidence intervals of these estimates. Positive train control system vulnerabilities, potential hazardous failures, potential hazardous operating circumstances which the reviewer felt were not adequately identified and tracked mitigated with a clear statement of the position for all the parties involved with the positive train control system vulnerability cited by the reviewer. Identification of any of the documentation information sought by the reviewer was denied and incomplete with adequate listing of each of the applicable vendor for the supplier, industry, national, international standards process procedure which was properly followed. Identification of the hardware software verification validation process for the positive train control system safety critical applications of the reviewer, the evaluation of the adequacy of the procedure method employed with the positive train control system manufacturer developed safety critical software, and if directed by the FRA, methods employed with the positive train control system manufacturer to develop the safety critical hardware. And that completes Part 236. Appendixes. We're looking at Part 236, Rules and Standards Instruction governing installation, inspection, maintenance, and repair of signals in the train control system devices and appliances.